It's time we start having a real conversation in this nation about our concerns, about the problems we face. We're not doing it right now. We're not addressing the problems right now. We're arguing and debating over them, and in essence, we're fueling them more. The problem that we face in this nation at this time is gaslighting. It's more broadly stroked, it's covert manipulation. That's what we're facing in this nation right now. That's what the argument is. That's the dynamic that's taking place. That's the destructive force, the dysfunction that is leading us down this path and elevating and growing our problems. That's the problem. Gaslighting is from a 1938 play. And in that play, there's a couple, husband and wife, and in their dwelling they have gas lights. And the husband intentionally dims the lights, and the wife questions it. And his response and his approach is to say, no, they didn't dim, it's your imagination. His whole goal is to make her feel as if she's losing her mind. Her reality is not good. And this is meant for control. This is what he's doing. He's trying to control her. And in so doing, he's trying to extract something from her. He's extracting currency from her in the form of validation. That's what the premise of gaslighting is. We are a gaslit nation. That's what we're doing to ourselves. And we're fueling it. That's the problem. The solution is to neutralize that circumstance. So when we have the case of, using the case of a couple, when we have two people in a relationship and one person is gaslighting the other, they are covertly manipulating the other person through various forms. Gaslighting is a key component. They are intentionally doing this for validation. They are intentionally, and the way they do this is they control the other person. They break them down. They deny their reality, and they install their own reality. And they will not accept the other person's point of view. And they do this slow and steady over time until the other person succumbs to it. Gradually, their light dims and the other person gains more and more control. It ends up hurting both parties. Both individuals are hurt by this one person's actions. Now, in our nation, what we're doing is we're doing it on a grand scale. We are gaslighting in this nation on a grand scale. Everyone's in on it. It's all coming through the epicenter of it all, the conduit for it all, is the two-party system. That's the epicenter of the gaslighting on our national scale. The media, the major influencers, and the special interests are all influencing the two parties. And the two parties, in turn, influence our government. And our government, in turn, is now controlling the nation's most important resource, the taxpaying, working Keystone Citizen. This citizen is the target of the gaslighting, the target of the covert manipulation. This collective group, the Keystone Citizen, the taxpaying, working Keystone Citizen, is the target of the gaslighting. Now, going back to the couple, when we have two individuals that are involved in a relationship, a dysfunctional relationship, where one party is gaslighting the other, the party that's doing the gaslighting will not stop. There's only one way to deal with the situation. The party that's doing the gaslighting is gaslighting the other individual. The individual doesn't realize it. They're naive to it. Over time, they're degrading that individual. They're lowering their self-esteem. They have them questioning themselves. Over time, that individual loses sight of themselves. And the individual that's doing the gaslighting gains more and more control. The only way that scenario can be interrupted is if the party that's being targeted realizes what is going on and extracts themselves from the situation, unplugs, removes themselves. Now, they can do this in two ways. They can go no contact, remove themselves and go no contact, restore their self-worth, their self-image, and heal. Just get out and heal. There's another way too. And the other way is to understand what is happening and immediately disengage. That is their primary option if they are still in proximity to the other party. And they have to remain in proximity to the other party for a period of time. They disengage. That is the only option that they have. The individual is being targeted. That is the only option they have. There is no other option. If they desire to put an end to the conflict, because what's happening is the one party is gaslighting them, and they are trying to establish rationale, logic, reason. They are trying to heal the relationship. And in so doing, they are fueling the dysfunction and the argument, because that is precisely what the other party wants. They want it for their currency, for their validation. Now, coming back to our society, our nation as a whole, this is precisely what we are doing to the taxpaying working citizen. This group performs a function that no other group performs. They pay the collective majority bill. They do 100% of the work. There is no other citizen in this country that does that. That group is unique among all groups. No other group does that. The target, these individuals are being targeted. This group is being targeted by the two parties. The two parties are targeting this group. They are vying for control of this group. And they are doing it with the assistance of the media, which is divided in proportion to the two parties, with assistance from the special interest, which is divided in proportion to the two parties. And they are doing it with the assistance of the major influencers, which choose sides between the two parties whenever the time comes for them to enter into our politics and act as if they are somehow thinking on behalf of that group that makes everything happen for everyone. Now, that group, just like in the relationship, the only option that group has to end the argument, because this group is doing something that no other group is doing. They are pouring into the nation. They are doing their part to run the nation, keep everything going, and ultimately they want to see the fight end. But it's not going to end. And it won't end until one thing happens, until that group comes together and removes themselves from the conflict. And the way that they do that is in a third party. Third party, this group enters into a third party where they can now insulate themselves from the conflict, from the target. They are a target. The two parties, the two political in our government, the two political parties in our government want control of this resource. And they are hurting this resource. They are gaslighting this resource. They are manipulating this resource. They are taking their currency, which is what they do that no other group does. They are taking that currency and they are misusing it. And they are creating problems with that currency. And they are not asking this group. They are ignoring this group. They are not, at election time, we have two candidates that will come up at election time, and they're not of the will of the people. They don't have the true will of the people. These candidates, then when they get into office, they gaslight us and say, we're here because of the will of the people. We just won an election. You just watched it. You just voted. The people voted for two options that they didn't prefer. Neither option had the will of the people. Neither option had the majority consensus. One of the options carries the vote. And this is the way of it in our society. This is the way of it in our democracy. We have found the weakness in our democracy. And we are having issues in our nation as a result of this weakness. And the weakness is the two-party system. And it's not even a government body. It's outside the government. Our democracy is brilliantly structured. Brilliantly. It is so well thought out. And it is designed to be flexible. And it is designed to respond to the voice of the people. And it is not. It's responding to voices. But it's not responding to the most important voice. It's responding to the voices that want control of this group. That's what our government is doing. It's responding to the voices that want control of this group. And they're not asking this group what they think. They're just doing what they want to do. A good example of gaslighting is, there's many good examples, but recently, tariffs. The administration of this, of the United States, our government, the administration, the executive branch, is touting tariffs. The working citizen doesn't want tariffs, but no one's listening to them. In the previous administration, there was the borders wide open. The working citizen did not want those borders wide open, but that administration ignored them. This administration is now ignoring this group with tariffs. We just recently conducted a military strike against another country. The consensus in this nation did not want to see that happen, but it happened because our government is not answering to the people. Another example would be January 6th. The people of this nation did not want to see, the majority consensus of this nation did not want to see that happen, did not want to see our capital attacked in that way. They pay for that capital. They're working. They're doing the one thing that no other group does. They're working. They're the ones paying the collective bill and doing 100% of the work. No other group does that. They don't want to see their government attacked. They don't want to see that kind of behavior, but yet it happens. And when these behaviors happen, when these things happen, they are gaslit away, if you will. The previous administration, the borders is not a concern. This is not a concern. This administration, tariffs not a big deal. It's all going to work out. The average working citizen who knows how to balance their own personal finances and knows what a tax is, knows better. The average working citizen knows better than attacking the Capitol. You wouldn't go and attack your local town hall. We are told that these things are normal, they're okay. This is gaslighting. This is precisely what the parties that are conducting the gaslighting want. They want this chaos. This is their world. This is who they are. And there's only one way to stop it. The only way to stop it. There's only one way to stop it. The only way is to disengage. That means this group needs their own place to go and have a discussion on their own and not have it through the media, which is gaslighting them, and not have it through the special interests, which are gaslighting them, not have it through the major influencers. When two parties are gaslighting, when two parties are engaged in a couple, and one party is gaslighting, they're lowering the quality of life for both individuals. They're lowering the quality of life for the family unit. And in a micro environment, such as a family unit, one of the parents could be initiating the gaslighting against the other parent, and they can go and incorporate other family members, children, other family members outside of their immediate family. And they can incorporate, and they can spread information that causes these other parties to now look at that individual in a different way and further degrade that individual. That's what we're doing in our society. You know, the special interests, we don't really hear about them. They're quiet in the background, but they're there, and they're supporting the two parties. Certain special interest supports this party. Certain special interest supports the other party. It's all done very quietly, and these two parties, with the help of the media and the major influencers, now control our government. And going back to the couple scenario, typically the couple, the individual, the person in the relationship who is the target, they need an awakening moment. They need to have that moment of awakening where all of a sudden they realize what is going on. And when that happens, it depends on the individual, but when that happens, typically it's over. They immediately disengage. Some individuals may choose to just ignore it. That's possible. You take this conversation right here. Let's put it like this. You take this conversation that we're having right here and you put it out there. Let's say we take this conversation right here and we just make it a national conversation. Just like that. It's national. Here's what will happen. We will see the fault line. This conversation and this party, the Independent Keystone Party, if we put this out there in national conversation, and we immediately put it right in front of the media, right in front of the major influencers, right in front of the nation, we will see the fault line. What will happen is we will immediately see a portion of the population that can see the problem and will immediately understand the problem. They will immediately relate to this, and they will realize, yes, and they will understand that a party, an insulated environment of the people, by the people, that's owned by the people, where they are there, no outside influence, no corporate influence, no major influencers, no major influencers, no media. in that safe spot, the Keystone Citizen can come together, stand shoulder to shoulder. They can make decisions for themselves. Put this out. We put this out in front of the nation, make it a national conversation, and we will immediately see the fault line. There will be a group that will support it. There'll be a part of the country that will support it, and there will be a part of the country that does not support it. And there'll be another fault line. In the portion of the nation that does not support it, there'll be a fault line in that group. The group that does not support this citizen, the Keystone Citizen, having their voice, unplugging from the argument, having their own personal space, having their voice in their government, being able to be part of a party that they own, that they are an owning member, and that party now selects candidates that are following their instruction, their lead. In this group, there will be those that just don't agree for whatever reason. But there'll be another aspect of that group that will see the situation. They'll see it and they won't admit to it. They will see that this party will work. They will see that this conversation is accurate. And they will not admit to it. Because going back to the couple, you have a relationship with two individuals. And think of that relationship as a vessel. The one individual that is the target is pouring into that vessel, trying to heal that relationship, trying to heal the chaos, trying to heal the tension that is occurring, that's taking place. They're thinking for both individuals. They want to solve the problem. And as long as they're pouring into that vessel, the other party that is targeting them with covert manipulation has put a crack in that vessel. And it's constantly leaking out. And that will never stop. Never. That is a constant. The party that is targeting the other individual will continue it as long as the other individual continues to pour into that vessel, continues to give of themselves. The other party will continue to take from them. And they'll do it in a harmful, dysfunctional way, and it will not stop. So the party that's being targeted, their only option is to disengage. They have to hope that they have that moment where they see it and they understand it and they awaken. And when they awaken, the party that is targeting them will know it immediately because they are highly attuned to it. They will sense it immediately. And if this party tries to say, I see it, I understand it, and tries to go to the other party and say, look, let's work this out. I can see it, I understand it. The other party will deny it. They will deny it, they will not accept it, and they will continue the argument. They will continue the dysfunction. The only option that couple has is the one couple that's being targeted needs to disengage permanently. They need to create their own space. They cannot go back. There can be no retaliation. There can be nothing. It's just disengage. It's over. The argument ends. They rise above it, and they go on, and they heal, and they put things in order for them personally. In our nation, we are having an argument over top of a group of citizens that is holding up the entire nation. They are paying the majority collective bill and doing 100% of the work for the entire nation. And we are having an argument over top of them and pulling them apart with this argument and hurting them. The only option this group has, and as long as this group continues to try and heal the nation and whoever it might be, whoever's out there with the microphone, some of these comedians I see, there's one in particular that I see that they attempt it. Some of these late night comedians, many of them take sides, and they're not helping, because as long as they're taking sides, they're not helping. But I see one that tries. And no matter the logic that you use, no matter the rationale that you use, no matter how perfectly you word it, it will not make a difference until you disengage. And the only way we're going to do that is with a third party, because the problem is the two-party system. That's the epicenter. And that is being fueled by the media, that is being fueled by the special interests, that is being fueled by the major influencers. So we need to address the fundamental singular problem, which is the two-party system. We do this by adding a third party that is owned and operated by the group that is the target, the Keystone Citizen. They form their own group. They finance it. They own it. They operate it. They vote in it. They vote and make decisions in that party in an insulated environment. Then they place candidates on the ballot for their government. And those candidates can be voted on by anyone. But only certain people can be in this party. You must qualify as a Keystone Citizen to be in this party. And then they pick their candidates. They put their candidates in office. And when they start placing candidates in office, those candidates will get elected, because those candidates are there at the will, the consensus will of the people, the true will. The window of opportunity on this is closing. We have taken so much from this group and spread it around that we have created a society where we have many that live at the expense of this group, and they can vote. So it's time this group has their own place where they can talk and sort out ideas and reason things through. And we do this with the technology that's already here. Everything we need is already in the marketplace. The group's there. The motivation's there. The argument's out there. Everyone wants to see it end. They're tired of it. They see the problems on the horizon. They see the problems in front of us and out on the horizon. And it's time. It's time for this group to be able to protect themselves. And they can do it with everything that's in the marketplace. We could form this in weeks. I've already secured the websites. I secured them. I have them. I have an attorney trademarking the name. I'm in. If anybody out there is interested, I'm in. I'm here in Northeast Ohio. The understanding of the problem is solid. That's solid. The party concept is solid. Everything that we need is in the marketplace. We just need to pull some people together. We need to ignite a conversation. And imagine igniting this conversation. Think about it. Think about how it would draw the fault lines. It would draw that. You wonder, you'd like to see where that fault line is at. Think about the media. Think about how when the media talks about third parties, how they say, "Oh yeah, third parties have been tried," and they give it a token 15 seconds on the news when the third party comes up. The media doesn't want to see a third party. They don't want to see a third party. That's why they never support them. They never truly support a third party. When was the last time you saw a celebrity, a major influencer, somebody with a national microphone really skip behind a third party? It doesn't really happen. They get behind one of the two problems. That's what they do. They create their status in society. They have success. They create some success and wealth, and they do well. They bring their talent to the table, and they do well. They do it within the infrastructure that is majority paid for and maintained, 100% maintained by the Keystone Citizen. Then, when it's election time, they ignore that citizen, that collective voice, that majority voice, and they support one of the two problems. Let's put this in front of them and let's ask them. Let's ask them a question. Let's ask the major influencers a question. Okay, you've done well. You've made a name for yourself. Very well. Good for you. Will you use your voice on a national level to support the formation of a party that is for the citizen that you owe so much to, that you can thank for helping you achieve your goals? The media. Will you claim to be the news. You claim that you have, you always talk about your desire to be, report the news fairly and so on and so forth. Will you step away from one of the two parties, and will you support the Keystone Citizen? Will you donate your news time, your voice? Will you forego the commercials every 7 minutes? I don't know whether we're watching commercials or whether we're watching, when we're not watching news. So, because you create the argument, you go out there and you create the argument, then after you've created the argument in the chaos, then you comment on it. I don't know where the news is in all this. And most of us are starting to feel the same way. Where is the news in all this? Where are those credentials you talk about and all the accolades you talk about and how you report fairly and honestly? Where is that showing up in your news hour or half hour, whatever it is? We put this conversation out there. We make it a national conversation. We excite the base, the Keystone Citizen. It'd be interesting to see where they end up. But we're going to have to do it without them. We can't wait on them. The window of opportunity is closing. The Keystone Citizen needs to take control of the situation. Because we can't wait on the media, because they are the problem. We can't wait on the major influencers, because they are the problem. We can't wait on the two parties all of a sudden decide to work together, or one of them decide, hey, you know what, maybe we'll listen to the consensus of the people. They don't do that. They're all being driven by the desire to manipulate. And that, again, we go back to the couple scenario. In a couple scenario, when one party is a covert manipulator, they can't stop. They won't stop. They'll bring the entire relationship down. They'll just tear it down. And they won't stop. The only person that can stop it is the target. But they first have to be awakened. They first have to come to understand the situation. And then they have to act in the right way. They can no longer fuel it. They have to make hard decisions. They have to be self-reliant. The media right now, through gaslighting, is right now, the media through gaslighting is giving away the First Amendment. They are giving it away because they are not supporting democracy. They're just not doing it. They are supporting division. They are supporting one of the two parties that is placing candidates in office that are not there at the true will of the people, at the true consensus of the people. These candidates are getting bolder when they get into office, and they can do more and more of what they want to do and not what the people want to do. And they do it. And then when someone questions them, they just gaslight the situation and they just turn their back and walk away. And what the media does nothing. What do they do that really helps us to resolve this? They're not helping stop the fight. They're not helping support a third party. What are the major influencers doing that will really help this group? What are they doing? Anything? Does anyone out there know of any major influencer that is truly interested in this group? I'd like to see them. I'd like to meet them. I'd like to see somebody out there step forward and say, my voice is now for the Keystone Citizen. My voice is for a solution. My voice is now to help resolve the problem and to help provide a solution. The window of opportunity is closing. Yes, it is. But it's still there. Politics moves at a remarkable pace. Just this conversation right here being brought out on a national level would move the needle instantly. There's an election in a little over a year, midterms. It would immediately influence that election. The party wouldn't even be formed. We could form this party in weeks. All the tools are out there. Everything's out there in the marketplace. The expertise is out there. The experts are out there. They're there. We could form, think of when this nation was formed, when our government was formed. It was a group of individuals that came together and they just hashed it out. They just applied themselves and they figured it out. And they came up with something extraordinary. They could not have figured everything. They could not have seen every pitfall. But they learned and they created something that was flexible. They created a government that was flexible. But it's inflexible now because it's being manipulated. And it doesn't operate at the true will of the people. And it's here where it's time to identify clearly and once and for all, the answer to our situation is not in the executive branch. The answer to our situation is in our Congress. The answer to our situation is in the voice of the people. To acquire, to hear that voice of the people, we must have our Congress answering to that voice. When our Congress answers to the voice of the people, things can happen. They can happen very rapidly.